All right, folks, it is 2025, November 4th, election day around the country and all along those lines. So definitely we've got some things going on in that space around elections and what's going to be taking place in those. And of course, we've had a person that was definitely a historical figure that has passed away. So Dick Cheney, powerful vice president and Washington insider, has died at the age of 84. So definitely that is something that is in the news and is being talked about. Bush hails Cheney as the one I needed as vice president. So definitely that is something that folks are talking about in the sense of what's going on in the news and around the world. Philippines typhoon kills at least 3 people and devastates the island. So Typhoon Kalmegi leaves 26 dead in the Philippines, and people are trapped on roofs and cars. So definitely that is something that people are talking about as well. As a matter of fact, one figure by the New York Times had the death figure as high as 26, and that was in the central Philippines area and all along those lines. And Dick Cheney just loved Israel, recalls a former ambassador to Washington. And Israel has been rocked by scandal as top military lawyer is thrown into jail. So a leaked video, a frantic search, and the top military lawyer. What to know about the scandal that is rocking Israel is something that's being reported by CNN. Cat taps legal advisor as the next military general. Sentences 5 to death for building and running criminal gang fraud centers in Myanmar's lawless borderlands. So China sentences infamous Myanmar scam mafia members to death. So the Chinese court gives the death sentence to the folks that were involved with that particular activity and all along those lines. So definitely that is something that folks are talking about in the news as they gave the death sentence to Myanmar crime syndicate boss Bei Zhuqing. So definitely that is something that folks are looking at as well. And NPR was reporting about an Australian nuns who fled a care home to break into their old convent. So that is something that folks are looking at as well. And workers were trapped for 11 hours after the collapse of a medieval tower in central Rome. So the worker trapped for 11 hours after the collapse of the medieval tower in central Rome has passed away. And definitely that is something that folks are looking at as well. The Guardian said manslaughter inquiry opened after the death of the worker in the Roman tower collapse. So definitely that is something that's going on in the news as well. And 13 suspected drug cartel members were killed in a shootout with police in Mexico. And Tanzanian opposition claims security forces are secretly dumping bodies after election violence. And 7 climbers were killed after an avalanche hit a base camp in the Himalayas. So in Nepal, 7 climbers are dead after the Himalayan avalanche. French national and Nepali guides were among those that were killed in that particular avalanche. And of course, there are others that apparently are missing, but actually they're saying that might be all of them, but I'm not sure of the amount that went on that particular trip. But it looks like the total amount of those that were killed was around 7 that have been reported. Israel receives remains of 3 more deceased hostages that have been held in the Gaza area and all along those lines. So that is definitely something that folks are talking about in the news as well. So definitely a lot's going on in that space, and we'll hear more stories about some of these things that are taking place in that sense. But Hamas hands over 3 more hostage bodies, and parents of hostage Omer Nutra we're talking about their reaction after the body was returned on Harrods. Afraid to know, afraid not to know. So that's something going on as Israel has handed over the bodies of 45 Palestinians after Hamas gave the returns of the bodies that they gave. And Merce invites Syrian president to Germany to discuss deportations. And the Dalai Lama has created a Tibetan capital in Excel in India, but some folks are saying that that is shrinking in terms of the area and all along those lines. That's something that NPR is reporting as well. And a look inside Egypt's newly unveiled Grand Egyptian Museum. So Egypt's Grand Museum opens displaying Tut's tomb in full for the first time. And Egypt's geopolitical balance, and I should say, act wins over Trump for now. So 7 priceless artifacts you won't find at the new Grand Egyptian Museum is something that the National Geographic is talking about. And as criticism grows, is the United Arab Emirates ready to walk away from Sudan's RSF militia? The U.S. seeks humanitarian truce in Sudan while ICC looks at El Fasher rampage. Sudan's bloody war is immune, apparently, according to the respectable statecraft, to Trump's art of the deal. So people are even asking why peace in the Sudan, and there are various reasons. They're saying that mediation hasn't worked so far. I saw one article there saying there's at least 3 reasons. And Ukraine strikes petrochemical plant deep inside Russia amid escalating long-range attacks. Ukrainian drones reach deep inside Russia as battle for key cities rages on. Satellite images appear to show an oil spill after a Russian port was attacked. Ukrainian drones strike the industrial facility in Russia's Bashkortostan. So definitely that is something that folks are looking at as well. And Samaritan's Purse deploys field hospital to Jamaica after Hurricane Melissa. So the whole place is blown apart. 90% of Jamaica's towns' homes have been destroyed. Grim death tolls rise in Jamaica as the nation grapples with disaster left behind by historic Hurricane Melissa. And CNN is saying desperate survivors in Jamaica are trying to kickstart recovery as they wait for help for the living and the dead. And a man accused of a UK train attack has been charged with 11 counts of attempted murder. Train hero who saved passengers during the attack was named, and there are definitely some people that are asking, why are there so many stabbings in Britain? I know we talk about gun violence, but apparently there's a rash of stabbings that are taking place in Great Britain. And after fleeing a massacre, survivors encounter still more gunfire and abduction. So UN Secretary General warns that war in Sudan is spiraling out of control. Blood visible from space in Sudan shows evidence of Darfur genocide, according to an analyst that was on ABC News. So definitely that is something that folks are talking about. And this month's UN Climate Summit will test the limits of the Paris Agreement. On the eve of the UN climate talks in Brazil, a call for less talking and more doing. So this is a 3-week event that is taking place. So Brazil is open 3 weeks of COP30 linked climate events. So definitely that is something that folks are talking about as well. So like I said, a lot's going on in the world and around the world on this a decision day for many. Like around New York, there's some big elections with Mamdani, and of course here in Durham, North Carolina, where I'm at, we'll try to determine who our mayor will be, and all along those lines. And there are some important votes in California, Virginia, and other parts of the country as well. So definitely folks are looking at Prop 50, Californians vote on redistricting to counter the redrawn Texas map. And the first big elections of the new Trump era are today, is what some folks are saying. Trump is on the ballot in at least 7 races in terms of how the races go. So Americans go to the polls with elections in New York City, New Jersey, Virginia, and California. So there are definitely some races that folks will be watching. And even Mamdani and Cuomo and Sliwa put their fates in the voters' hands. So as Mamdani nears victories, Democrats are even worrying about the national fallout of that and all along those lines. So we'll see how this goes and what happens in that space. And the White House's plan A is winning its Supreme Court tariff case. It also has a plan B. So definitely we'll see how the Supreme Court deals with tariffs and all along those lines. And the mom of missing girl, Melody Buzzard, switched license plates during a road trip. So investigators believe car carrying the missing California girl had license plates swapped to avoid detectives. So definitely that is something that has been in the news. And this is saying that the missing 9-year-old Melody Buzzard was last seen near the Colorado-Utah border and all along those lines. So we'll definitely be having a lot of conversations. And of course, we still got the government shutdown. A deal to end the government shutdown takes shape in the Senate. So this is just reported an hour ago. So the government shutdown on the verge of surpassing the record, as Stoon says he's optimistic about ending the impasse this week. At 35 days, the government shutdown has now tied the record for the longest in history. And 2/3 of Americans say the U.S. is pretty seriously on a wrong track, according to a poll that came out 2 days ago. So the majority of Americans are blaming Trump for poor economy in new poll showing a dip in his approval. So from groceries to gas, America say they're spending more under Trump. So definitely a lot going on in that space. And last but not least, as I get to see who's I got here for the panel, Virginia's governor race will test Trump and Democrats nationally and will make history. So we'll definitely see what goes on in that space. They're saying that Spanberger is posed to flip the governorship to the color blue. And we'll see if that happens or doesn't happen. But I've got Rick Rosner with me. I've also got Dr. Sharif from Bangladesh, and we'll see if other folks join us as well. So, how's everybody doing today? It looks as you can tell that I've got yard work in the background. You do hear the lawnmower in the background as well. So, how's everybody doing today and all
I'm
in that
okay.
space?
It's foggy all over Los Angeles.
Okay, how's it going in Bangladesh, Sharif?
Bangladesh right now very good, as our government planning for election next year February. So all of the political parties they are involving with the political activities, engage with the grassroots level people. Our World Talent Economic Forum, we are advocating for AI in politics.
Okay.
Next year, June, I want to invite you all in Bangladesh. We are organizing conference on AI in politics. So where we discuss about fascism, where we discuss about these intellectual activities, research paper publications for transhumanism, for technocracy. So I want to invite you all in Bangladesh next year, June. Hopefully, it will be very exciting, and lot of American friends, especially politicians, both from left wing and right wing, they are coming and joining in my conference. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Sounds like a great conference. Hey, Rick, we lost a person from the world of politics that definitely had an impact. It came out of the world of the military and all along those lines. But I just wanted your reflections and your thoughts on Dick Cheney, who passed away at the age of 84. I think that in some cases, we know that his daughter, Liz Cheney, stood up to Trump. And I'm not sure if Dick did and
Well,
everything
so
along those lines.
Libs
But
didn't like him when he was VP and kind of lied us into the Iraq War, the second Iraq War, the first one in 1991, where we pushed Saddam Hussein out of, I don't know, was it Qatar? That war lasted 4 days. That was a good war. We took we pushed a bad guy out. The war in 2002, 2003, that was a terrible war based on lies. And yeah, he was a bad guy for doing it. But later, he turned into kind of a good guy when he denounced Trump as being terrible for the country.
yeah, he definitely did that. And like I said, I know his daughter Liz was very much against Trump and all along those lines. But
He was
definitely,
on
he's
his
had.
second. He was on his second heart. He was living on a donor heart, so he lived for a long time with a heart that used to be in somebody else.
Yeah, that's very true. These people that lived long lives, particularly with hearts. I know that one of my, my dad, not dad's, my brother's lady friend has lived with a new heart now for, I want to say, going on 3 or 4 years because she got the heart during the pandemic and everything along those lines. By the way, our condolences want to go out to Dr. Anthony, one of our show hosts, and everything along those lines. I meant to mention this yesterday, but speaking of passings, she lost her father, her papa, and everything like that on recently. But he had lived a good long life. I think he lived to be like around 95 or 97. So she's actually away from DC, but back in Louisiana, which is where her family's added everything to lay him to rest. And I think she has got power of attorney, so she's going to be dealing with a lot of things to deal with the family and the estate and stuff like that. So with our condolences do go out to Dr. Anthony. Just wanted to let folks know that
Yeah.
because she is one of our regular show hosts and usually does the all around show and has been here pretty much since like very much early in the game in terms of Pod TV with that show and everything like that.
Speaking
I know.
of, if you're our age
Mhm.
and you still have parents, check in with them a lot. Make sure that
Yeah.
they're not falling, which is a big sign that something they need more care. Make
Yeah.
sure they're paying their bills. Falling behind in bills is a big sign that somebody needs to step in maybe get power of attorney to help them with bills. That was the case with my mother-in-law, with my mom. You know, they need more checking on.
They
If
definitely need checking on and things like that, because definitely you got to do that. I'm fortunate to still have both of my parents and everything like that. Hey, Dr. Sharif, one of the things that we don't do as much in the West is have families that stay with us and all along those lines. Because a lot of times the family is gone in other directions and everything like that. Even though I did have a Jewish friend of mine from Wake Forest who just recently lost his mother-in-law, but his mother-in-law and his father-in-law were living with him. But I know, like in societies like Bangladesh and a lot of the Eastern societies, you sometimes have 3 or 4 generations living together. So, do you think that that's a better model than the U.S. model, where a lot of times we are separate from our parents? And like in your own life, I don't know whether you stay with your parents still, or even are close, like in the neighborhood of your parents or grandparents. But I know that is very common in Eastern societies.
Yeah, it's very common in Eastern, in our society. Specifically, my parent also live with me and my wife, and this is very common. But what I can remember when I was young, like 6 or 8 or 10 years old, that time I had around 30 family members. All of the people live in a very big house. But right now in Bangladesh, what I see, because I came back Bangladesh after a long time, the micro family, I say that what we see in the Europe, or in North America, like this husband and wife, this kind of families and these things also increasing. Even though this is also alarming, the divorce rate, like Western world, this is also increasing in Bangladesh and our society. So it's a culture when we try to follow one culture. Definitely, it has many good things. It has very bad things, but unfortunately, Bangladesh community, those who are observing my show, I request everyone take all of the good things from the Western world. World has many good things in their communities. On the other hand, South Asia or Bangladesh, they have some good qualities, especially family values. Please bring your values, take care of your parents and everything. But right now it's changing massively. It's changing. What I see in Dhaka.
Yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of that's way and everything like that. Speaking of things that are changing and impacting families along those lines, I believe today or at the latest, it'll be tomorrow, we'll break the record for the longest time with the government shutdown, even though they're talking about efforts to finally bring it to an impasse, even though some people are saying that we'll still be dealing with this as we get closer to Thanksgiving in about 3 weeks and all along those lines. So I see we've got Jacoby that has joined us as well. But what is our thoughts around the government shutdown, and is there any end to sight to this shutdown? And its impact is already being seen with many people. I think you said 1 in 8 losing their SNAP benefits, and of course, people are also facing issues with open enrollment and their health care as well. So, Rick or Jacoby, your take on this government?
Trump reached his lowest approval of his second term. And he's even running below the same point in his first term, which is he's usually been above, a little bit above where he was in his first term, because people have had 8 more years to get used to his style. But now he's underwater even compared to first term Trump. So people are not liking what's going on. Will this change his behavior? Probably not.
I don't think it's that people are going to get would have gotten used to his style or whatever. I think because of everything that was going on with COVID, and people tend to place that all at the feet of Biden, from inflation to everything else around it, all the bad, they're placing it at the feet of Biden. Even when for example, when you discuss with people about, okay, well, with COVID, and then they bring up Biden shut everybody down or shut the country down. Well, that happened in 2020. That was under Trump, but they're pushing it onto Biden. So they've taken a nostalgic view of Trump and his presidency 4 years ago. Some of the younger individuals did not really vote at that time, or they didn't care at that time. So then you had those individuals that shifted over to Trump because it was again the nostalgia, the idea that, oh, things were golden, but they forgot about it being a period of time where we had the most protests that were happening in the streets. We did have spikes in immigration. We did have spikes in gas. Under his first presidency, we did have the biggest drops in the stock market, or some of the largest drops in the stock market, without having a global or a major problem that happened. So they forgot all this because it was everybody's so upset at what happened with Biden. And you're right. People are now seeing the problems that they hated and the reason why they voted against him in 2020. And they're seeing all these things. And I think his numbers are going to continue to drop. And you're right, Rick. He doesn't care. He had a great Gatsby party while people are losing SNAP benefits. So while people are starving, he's partying like a rich man because he's a rich man and doesn't care. All he cares about is himself. And people are starting to see this.
So we got three things that could happen that could screw the economy. We've got possibly increasing inflation, possibly increasing unemployment, and this AI bubble keeps getting bigger. And when it pops, and I don't know, I'm guessing by the number of people who know it's a bubble, it'll be in the next year. And when that thing goes, there's going to be a 15% stock market correction. People will. So I think we have rougher times ahead.
We have definitely got a lot of rougher times ahead. And honestly, Doc, you can speak about this as well, because if you look at the AI bubble with all these companies, because now with Amazon saying they're laying off 30,000 people because of AI, other companies are following suit or going to follow suit. Microsoft has laid off a ton. There are going to be others across not only the country, but across the globe that really start to hit AI. And that's that bubble. And that's when it pops, because it's going to burst on both ends, where you had people who are unemployed and you had companies that are going to lose business because people are unemployed. So you can't pay for example, right now, if you look at people leaving different services from YouTube TV to Disney Plus to all these other services, because they're finding ways to get stuff in another way and finding cheaper avenues. And that is where that bubble is really going to hit, because you have these big companies that charge these exorbitant prices and people can't afford life anymore. So they're going to figure out a way to survive, and those companies are going to lose a ton of money because of that.
Yeah,
this is where pirating is, in terms of the software and the IT realm. This is where a lot of piracy is going to come back into play. If you look at, two companies just teamed together. I think it was Disney. Was it Disney? But there are two companies. I got to bring back the article that I read. But two companies are going after a new pirating website where people are getting TV and music and everything else. But there was a new one that just popped up, a new lawsuit that just popped up. They were going after them. I got to remember where that. Because I had the two companies on my head. I'm getting old.
Can we go back to AI for one sec? So total spending for AI, this is companies building AI systems, was $750 billion from 2013 until last year. Then last year's spending was $1 billion. Then this year, $100 billion. A trillion. A trillion. And then this year it's supposed to be 1.5 trillion. And the bubble is that experts in the field say, a company, you can't, kids using AI to write their term papers don't offer any return on this $1.5 trillion investment. To get the money back, companies would have to buy AI systems. And to do that, companies would have to believe that AI would be able to save them billions and billions of dollars. And experts in the field are saying, no, there aren't that many gains to be had by using AI instead of using people. And that's where the bubble is. Spending 1.5 trillion with no expectation of getting that money back.
Yeah, I mean it's a money pit right now. But it was Netflix, Disney, and Crunchyroll, because one of the hottest things out there right now is anime. And it is in terms of entertainment wise. And Rick, you got to jump on it. Doc, I don't know if you're watching anime yet. Got some great stories, some great shows. But yes, they're in a major anime streaming lawsuit right now.
Well, okay, here's my issue with AI. I mean, not with AI, with anime. They take as long to tell stories as TV shows with human actors, with actors, and I get impatient. At least if I'm watching a show with like Mark Ruffalo playing a scruffy fat FBI agent, at least if the story takes a long time, I got Mark Ruffalo, I have his acting to watch. With anime, I've got drawings to watch, and I'm like, come on, let's move it along.
But there's some good ones, and I think, Rick, like I said, I'm a find, because I think if you like stories, like really engrossing, well-told stories, like Frieren, at Journey's End, the cool part about that story is that it's telling the story of an elf, in a sense, and elves in lore live longer than everyone else. So she was with a group. She's a mage. She has her crew and everything. They've saved the world, and they've been on this one last quest. However, they decide at the end of that quest, we're good. We've saved the world. Everything is over. We can all go on with our lives. They all separate. But again, she lives longer than everybody else. So now everybody's dying. And it's a sad story, but it's told so well. I mean, you'll really cry. But
here's one more problem. My wife and I watch, 2-3 hours of TV every evening. My wife, I can't sell my wife on a cartoon elf. Like right now, we're watching a show by the creator of Slow Horses with Ruth Wilson and Emma Thompson, and it's taken and it's like every other freaking show, but at least it's humans up there. I don't know that I can sell my wife on animation.
I mean, it is a hump. It's a hurdle that some people have to get over. Yes, it's a tough hurdle for some. But if you're looking for like stuff that's more realistic, I mean, there are some very realistic in terms of the story where it's not, hey, we're going to do all this crazy stuff. There's one called Paranoia Agent. Oh my gosh. It isn't really I guess, hey, there's magic, there's this and that. No, Paranoia Agent is basically about a detective trying to figure out what happened. It's a whodunit. It's an older anime, and the story I loved, but because it's kind of creepy-ish, but it's told in a way that you're watching a lot of the shows that you'd see a lot of realistic shows now.
Okay, I mean, I'm looking at the art for Paranoia Agent, and it looks like it stars a kid in rollerblades with a hockey stick and shorts.
Maybe you can sell that to your wife and everything. Anyway, getting back to some other news, but still staying on AI. CNBC was saying that corporate America is getting rocked by historic rounds of white-collar layoffs, leading some to wonder, has AI finally come for their jobs? So part of the article says, while some companies are investing in AI, are looking to cut costs elsewhere, the layoffs might more likely signal concerns about the economy and the slowdown in consumer spending. But there are some folks that are wondering about the strength of the labor market, and it was the start of an AI-driven white-collar recession. And what they're particularly talking about is corporate giants Amazon, UPS, and Target each announced layoffs in recent weeks, totaling more than 60,000 jobs cut this year. So that's a lot of jobs in those areas that are in the area of corporations and all along those lines.
So the saying is that AI doesn't have to do your job better than you. All AI has to do is an AI company has to convince your boss that it can do your job as well as you can. And if you got a stupid boss, they might buy it and you might lose your job to AI.
Well, people see AI as cost cutting, and yes, AI does help in particular ways. But AI again is extremely flawed, and you've got to proofread what AI says. So a lot of businesses are seeing, hey, what are ways that we can use AI to write a website, rather than, hey, let me go to this our creative team and do that. No, let me go ahead and type up a couple of words in AI, and hey, guess what? I got me a website. Oh, I need a letter. I need you can do legal stuff. Let me write a case against someone who's wronged me in some way and type it up. A couple of words. Let me keep on editing, and I can write up the whole thing. I need a proposal but you got to read over it. So people will cut because of particular. I mean, there are going to be particular agencies that are going to be lost to AI easily. That's
like
just,
Target. Like where does it really help you cut? So freaking Target, you need cashiers. I guess you replace those with scanners. Scanning checkout. I don't know. You need stockers. Are you going to fill Target with stocking robots to stock the shelves? Not soon, I don't think. And then helps with like data entry, invoicing, customer service. Okay, yeah, but that's I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's not a big chunk of Target's employees. I don't know where Target is being able to cut people due to AI.
I mean, yeah, your cashiers are gone. You can stock with robots.
Yeah, but I don't see stocker robots in groceries and like Target. It's still cheaper to hire people, with hand cards.
That's real true and everything like that. Hey, just really quickly, because there's some interesting real estate news coming out of Indianapolis. So I know you've got this kind of money just laying around. Like I know Nick's got this kind of money laying around and everything like that. So I just want to know if you're going to go to Indiana to buy a former racing driver and Indiana car team owner, Michael Andretti's car, because he's listing his $11.95 million Indianapolis area home. And apparently it boosts 21,010 square feet and room for more than a dozen vehicles. And you also get, and they're using Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, but you also get things like a home black and white checkered patterned decor, because he is a racer, trophies, and a racing arcade game featuring Andretti's driver photo, pay in homage to the seller's decorated career. So you got all kinds of things that you can get. And
all right, so you're mentioning that leads to the general question of whether Gen Z wants stuff. Is everything going to get cheaper? Nick, your voice.
You've got the Mickey Mouse Donald Duck voice going again.
But so if you watch if you watch Antique Roadshow, like the prices for like old stuff, antique stuff, since 2009, prices have dropped 50%. The Gen Z doesn't have much money. Gen Z is addicted to their devices, so they don't have any place to put stuff. They don't want stuff. They only want, so yeah, we may see stuff get cheaper because younger generation may not want anything.
Yeah, just really quickly, we want to check on Nick's voice, and I was going to tease Nick because Nick, you're always talking about you're a king, so you can afford Michael Andretti's new house that is on the market. Apparently, it's for $11.95 million in Indianapolis. So I'm waiting for you to go buy that house since you're a king and everything like that.
No, I don't think so. The thing is, it's a lot of upkeep, Mark. I mean, went down that path before. People don't realize it's just not buying the house, it's keeping up the bloody house. And Indianapolis is not on my most favored places list. I've been there, and one of our companies is headquartered there, One America. It's about a $50 billion company. I've been to the buildings there. Pretty nice place to live during the summertime, but they have awful winters.
And well, that's why he's moving, because apparently he's moving down to Fort Lauderdale. You're in Exodus, where he apparently bought a $27.37 million waterfront estate. So he's moving down there to the ocean.
And now we also go back to the wealth disparity in the United States. I mean, it's just so so upside down that you almost can't stand it. When 1% of the population have 40% of all the assets in the U.S., you guys have no, how do you say, financial equality whatsoever. And don't blame it on the kings. You got to blame it on the capitalist system, which also is going to create the next recession, which is coming up right around the corner here in January. I hope you guys are ready for it. It'll be unemployment. You guys just mentioned it briefly.
Unemployment is something we've got to face. By the way, I'm just going to keep teasing. I'm going to keep teasing my guns, and then we'll get to the more serious issues, including what's going on in Ukraine and everything. But Sasha, apparently, he's got a 700 bottle wine cellar in a.
All right, but let's talk about the larger implications. Let's talk about the larger implications. Gen Z's parents, which I guess is Gen X, at the same age, 40% of Gen Xers own their homes. For Gen Z, it's down to 26%. That's more than a 1/3 decline. They can't afford them. And when you can't afford something for long enough, you quit wanting it.
Right.
So
and that big issue is what
people that are downsizing. The tiny homes has become a major thing. I've had a couple of friends that have talked about the desire to purchase a tiny home, even though they're not as cheap as people think they are. Because I was having people look at
they're not very cheap. And the thing is, housing is a big problem in the United States, and nobody's addressing it except the guy in New York City who apparently is going to become mayor of New York City because he grabbed a hold of an issue that is an issue for a lot of people, and that's housing costs in the U.S. So I was looking to buy my other house in the U.S., but I found some suitable properties in Scotland, so I'll probably buy my next house in Scotland. Why would I want to go to the U.S. when the property values are tipsy? Doesn't make any sense.
Kamala Harris had a home buying as part of her platform. She was going to give first-time buyers like $50,000, but either nobody believed her or they, didn't think $50,000 was enough.
Well, probably
people that folks can't believe and all along those lines. I would say on our rich people and everything. Nick, can you justify having a party? Because I think Jacoby mentioned it earlier. A Gatsby-like party. Yes, it's your home down there in Mar-a-Lago when people are facing the loss of SNAP and all of this kind of. It was basically like a let them eat cake Marie Antoinette moment and everything like that. So,
I mean, the thing is, when it comes to heads of state, what happens is you entertain people all the time. I mean, you do that if you're president of the company or CEO, so that's not unusual. This is another loser for the Democrats, in addition to their loser blaming the shutdown on the Republicans when it's the Democrats who voted to shut it down. So, and they're saying, well, you didn't agree to all of our terms. That doesn't matter. If they want to open up the government, they can. My prediction, this government will be shut down into next year. Okay. My prediction is unemployment's going to be high next year. And I don't know what Sasha's going to do about the stock market when he watches it tank. But just not my problem.
Buying puts and a lot of
you're buying puts. So you're smart, Sasha. I mean, I'm sitting there going like, okay, we're heading like right in the eye of a storm, and it's going to happen. People think this whole idea of a Merry Christmas, it's going to be a Charles Dickens Christmas, y'all. That's what's going to happen.
Okay. The interesting piece is, Mark, you asked Nick about justifying the Great Gatsby party where they put out a sign, nobody died from a party. And Nick went on some tangent about something else. That shows you that he cannot justify the party, and he's trying to shift blame.
It's okay, Jacoby. I have no problem with parties. I have them all the time. And if he wants a party, he can have a party. It's my party, and So the thing is, I don't have a problem. If you guys have problems with parties, that's your problem. Deal with it.
You're gaslighting again.
I don't know what you're talking about. Gaslighting.
You're trying to talk.
That is a euphemism. I don't understand. They don't use gaslighting here in the U.S. That's some sort of idiom. So please explain what gaslighting is before
Rick has his hand up, and I think we should let Rick talk because.
All right, so Jon Stewart, the slogan of Trump's party was "Nobody dies from a little party." And yeah, a year from now, nobody will give a shit. But Jon Stewart made fun of him because if you read The Great Gatsby, people die because of a party. Two people, that's the whole point of The Great Gatsby, is that rich people fuck around and people die.
And that's actually what happens because, you know, you have people losing SNAP benefits and healthcare and everything else. And yes, people are going to die. Honestly, when he cut USAID, people did die. So the idea that, oh, well, in the middle of people losing their SNAP benefits, they're going to throw a luxurious party with themed around the Great Gatsby and wealth disparity, and basically do all this glitz and glamour, brag about this marble bathroom. Again, there's no justification for it. It just proves that Trump does not care about these things. It's just another indication of that.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Sounds really
we
good.
got to get real here. I need to respond to this. We know that almost all the Republicans voted to open up the government. We also know almost all the Democrats voted to keep it down. So don't hang it on Donald Trump, the fact you're not getting your snap, crackle, and pop benefits. Hang it on the party of hate, the Democratic.
So as you make jokes about people losing their benefits and people starving and unable to get food, it proves the point even further that neither you nor Trump cares about those SNAP benefits. Take, for example, how you keep saying that, about these SNAP benefits, so on and so forth. Do you realize in the big, beautiful bill that even Trump championed, they cut hundreds of millions of dollars from SNAP? So don't act as if you cared about SNAP now.
No, it's way overblown, Jacoby. 42 million Americans? You got some serious
Hold on. I haven't finished my
You should
statement.
not have 42 million
You're not going to
Americans.
overtalk me on this one. I haven't finished my statement. And then when you want to talk about, hey, you know what? The Republican Party voted all these times. Oh, they had so many votes. Well, the Republican Party also is in power. They know for a fact that they need 7 extra votes to get to that 60 threshold, or they can kill the filibuster and actually push it through themselves. They have done neither one to try and get those 7 extra votes that they need, because what do they have to do to get those 7 extra votes? They have to negotiate with others. If I need you 3 to do something, I have to negotiate with you. I just can't keep saying, well, you failed to help me. Well, what did you do to actually get me to come to your side? So again, your point is flawed when you want to sit here and say, oh, well, they voted 14 times. Well, no, they didn't try and negotiate, and they could actually kill the filibuster and push it through themselves, but they didn't do that as well. So this is all on Donald Trump, who when the shutdown happened up under Obama, completely said this falls on the failure of the president. So take him at his words.
What happens, Jacoby, is the Democrats want to see people starve. And so what they did
Here we go. Now we're down to this. We don't need to go down.
So the thing is, if you guys want to,
the conversation's over because you
if
can't
you
even
guys
justify the
want
Great
the
Gatsby
SNAP
part.
benefits, this is really simple. All you do is vote for the clean CR and you're done. But they don't want it. The reason why
It's not
is
a clean
they
CR, no
would
matter how
rather
many
see
times you say
people
it. It's
not
not a
get the
clean
benefit.
CR.
And the Republicans
It's
are going,
not
okay, if that's what you want, you got it.
resolution. It's
The
not.
Republicans just
No
shrug
matter
their
how many times you want to put that
Yeah.
out there, I get it. You're trying to fall in line with the whole Trump
Okay,
era
wait,
stuff, because
it's
what
not.
you're
It has
doing
nothing to do
is
with Donald
what
Trump.
Trump
This is
learned
Congress.
because he
Why are you
read
putting it on
all the
Trump?
Hitler stuff before. Joseph Goebbels, when
It has
he said,
nothing to do
if
with
you
Trump.
say the lie enough, people will begin to believe it, and that's all
Yeah,
you're
the
doing.
Democrats are doing good at
It's
that.
a
This has
lie.
nothing to do with Trump. It's
Continually
Congress.
repeating it doesn't change the fact.
Jacoby,
Doesn't change the fact
Congress.
that Nick again. It doesn't change the fact that the
All they have to
Republicans
do
are
is
in charge. They have 53 votes. They know they need to get to that 60 threshold. How do you get to that 60 threshold, Nick? How?
Oh, the Democrats decide to vote
No,
for it. That's all. But
that's
they
not
refuse.
just
They like to
somebody
keep the
to do
government shut
something
down,
doesn't
so
work.
you're going to see it shut
just
down.
telling somebody to do something doesn't work.
But what they're not going to do is they're not going to be held hostage
Let's do
to
this.
Democrats'
Let's do this. Let's
extortion.
do this.
I can't
Here's
believe
something to
it.
prove. Here's
That's
something to
called
prove.
extortion.
Here's something to prove.
Jacoby.
Easily
It's not called
proven wrong.
negotiation.
Nick,
We're gonna
you're in charge of this network. You're in charge of this network.
No, I'm
How
not.
about this? How
I have
about
someone
you give
for-
Sasha
I'm
some
not
money?
sure.
You're
I'm
not going to do that
afraid,
because Sasha has to negotiate.
I think
Oh, wait, you got more
the
people.
shutdown is beneficial for both parties, Democrats and Republicans. They both want, they both need shutdown, and all people will be hostages to a degree. Not all people, well-to-do people, don't care. But majority of people, of course, there will be hostages. But there is no way out of it. One party, at the end of the day, would have to get on their knees, and it will be either Democrats or Republicans. And this is a game. By the way, the longer it continues, the harder would be for a party, one or another, to get on their knees. Because if they do, the question is, why did you do it now, idiots? Why didn't you do it 2
And
months
if you
I
take-
ago?
agree with you, Sasha.
And
This
Sasha,
is going
honestly,
to
you're
continue
right
into next year.
And-
This will be
Sasha,
next
you're
year.
right.
Yeah,
And
okay.
the way and the
We're
way
not
the
going
way
to go.
this is right now, if you look at actually the public polling, the public is actually on the Democrat side because they think they're justified in what they're doing. So the Republican Party, the Democrat Party has no reason to actually cave to what the Republicans are doing. They have the public right now behind them. But as you point out, Sasha, correctly, the longer it goes on, it's going to be harder for anybody to say, hey, I'm justified, because everybody's going to be in pain. Right now, the best bet would be for the Republican Party if they were smart. If the Republican Party said, okay, we're gonna actually extend these subsidies. We're gonna do what you want. We're gonna negotiate it on it right now. We're gonna reopen the government, and then that's when they begin to cut and do whatever they want to afterwards, because they run it so they can put up any bill and cut anything they want to, which they did with the SNAP benefits already. So it would be smart politically for the Republican Party to actually go ahead and reopen the government by giving in to what the Democrats want, even though it's going to give some tailwinds to the Democrat Party. But they don't want to do that because they're thinking, hey, look, we've got to protect this this pedo in chief right now. That's what the problem is.
The guy in chief, his approval rating now is 37%. It's the lowest of all his presidency. And I think it will go much lower because people even don't realize what's happening right now. United States brings Russia and all its allies to a Caribbean crisis too in Venezuela. The United States sent all the Armada, the avia carriers, and many other ships. And what they gonna do there? Are they gonna shoot? No, they will not, because Trump will never win his Nobel Prize. I don't know why is it so important to him. It's just $1 million. He made over $5 billion in his 9 months of presidency on all his scams of his bitcoins and all this. And then when he pardoned that guy, he said, from Binance, he said, I don't know who he is. The guy made him billions of dollars to him and his family, and he doesn't know who he is. This is pathetic, and there is a price to pay, and this price will be paid very soon. And then his rating from 37% will go down to 21% or maybe even lower. That's what
you're absolutely right. He may go down to 21%, and he's still ahead of the Democrats. But that's another story.
Actually,
their rating, unfortunately, according to Rick Rosner, is lower than the Republicans. So the Democrats have nothing to.
The Democrats are at 33%. So
no, they went up to 33.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
boy,
again,
that's such a super majority.
I'm actually telling you is that Donald Trump
majority. I can't stand it.
And what Sasha's pointing out is that he is going to continue to tank. Right now, the Democrat Party is looking a little bit better and better as their polls are showing that. So it's just
we'll know more. But by our show tomorrow, we'll know more.
We'll know more about the show tomorrow because we got that election in Virginia, which is going to determine whether somebody goes red or black, and then we've got the election in New York, which it looks like Mamdani will win, and then we've got those propositions in California as well as some elections. So there are some key
And
elections.
New Jersey, you got New Jersey governor too.
And New Jersey, right? I forgot about the New Jersey governor and everything. Sasha, I had a quick question because I know we got your show coming up and everything, but I know one of the things that you kept talking about historically, you and Ivan and even Jonathan to some degree and everything, was taking the war to Russia. And it looks like that's what the Ukrainians have done, because they launched an attack that hit the Russian petroleum bases within Russia itself. So I just wanted your take on this, and I'm sure y'all will go further in detail on that on the show in about a little bit less than 10 minutes. But what is your take on this attack into the land of Russia?
I hope that American administration in the last few days, especially when they send their armada to Venezuela and Russia and all their satellites, are sending incredible amount of weapons and fighters to Venezuela, which makes for US absolutely impossible to get any results over there, but to bring the Caribbean crisis too very close to our doors. And the only way how US could avoid this calamity is to arm Ukraine to the teeth and get Ukraine without American direct involvement to crush Russia, just to annihilate them on the battlefield, and then there would be no Russian fighters to Venezuela, no coalition to resist US, nothing. But US is not doing that. US is so stupidly stubborn on doing whatever Trump thinks he is doing. Who is Trump? Is he a strategist? Is he a military man? Who is he? Nothing. It's less than zero. And these are the consequences what US will bear.
All right, so I looked it up, and Russian oil production is down between 20 and 38% due to Ukrainian drone attacks.
Okay.
Is this going to have implications for Russia, Sasha?
In about 5 years' time, yes, but not in 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 months.
Okay.
Russia still has a lot of money, and it can get money. If it's not going to be India, it's going to be Pakistan, or it's going to be any other country. They will sell, or even they're selling a lot of oil to Europe, by the way. And by the way, US is buying Russian-produced oil products. And that's going on, and it will go on for another more than a year. I think until beginning of 27. Because there are contracts, there are some stuff that you have to bear in mind. It's not just, okay, I'm not buying Russian products anymore. Really? What about the contract? Oh, contract, yeah, okay, we'll keep buying.
Hey, Rick and Jacoby, I'm confused about something. Maybe y'all can clarify, because we talked about this other country a while back and everything, but why is Nicki Minaj sharing deep sense of gratitude to President Trump for apparently the remarks on Nigeria? I'm sure some of this is what used to be called sarcasm and all along those lines, but explain to our listeners what she's got in her mind with this notion of showing a deep sense of gratitude for threatening military action in Nigeria.
I'm not that well versed in it. All I know is that Trump has accused Islamic groups in Nigeria of targeting Christians. I don't know, if it's a significant problem. I don't know how many people we're talking about getting killed. He's been saber rattling against Nigeria. He won't fight Nigeria. Nigeria has nearly 250 million people. It's one of the biggest, maybe it might be the biggest country in Africa. So he's not going to fight them.
I was just going to say that he saw a piece on Fox News about Christians being killed in Nigeria, and now he wants to make military moves on Nigeria based on a Fox News report. That's how it all came about. And is it a problem that Christians are being killed in Nigeria? Yes. But it's also a bigger problem that Muslims are the ones being killed more in Nigeria, which they never even talked about. Now the fun part is, will because those in Nigeria are brown. Is he going to allow Christians from Nigeria who are brown to be refugees like he did with the white Afrikaners from South Africa? My guess is he's probably not going to do that.
I would like to ask all of you a question. If Trump can, without Congress, House, or Senate, impose tariffs against the rest of the world, he can start wars anywhere, whether it's Israel or Nigeria or Venezuela, or just try to bring Canada as the 51st state and Greenland and whatever his fantasies are. Why, and he can do it all single-handedly, why do you need still a Senate, a House, or anything like this? Why don't you agree that until the rest of his presidency, he is equal to a king? That's it, a king. King doesn't need Senate or a House or anything like this. He is de facto a king. Recognize it.
Well,
shut up.
Well, I think he showed that with the ballroom, because nobody builds, and I've heard several people say this even on social media, nobody builds something that they're not going to have a chance to use. So he probably was building that with the idea that he would use it at a later time within his monarchy. So yes, he might be setting up the monarchy of Trump. So that is a distinct possibility.
Trump doesn't think strategically. Trump does whatever he wants within the moment. The guy is 79 and a half years old. It's tough to credit him with any like long-term strategy. His dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 86 and was dead of Alzheimer's at 93. His dad was healthier than Trump is. His dad was skinny.
But Rick, let me ask you this. A while ago, I think even yesterday, I think we were discussing briefly the possibility of a nuclear war. So what do you think will happen if Venezuela, supported by Russians and its allies, will enforce a no-fly zone over Venezuela and ask American Armada moved 500 miles away from the shore of Venezuela? What do you think will happen in this case?
Well, as you've mentioned, the U.S. never fights and Russia never fight directly. They fight through proxies.
Right.
So maybe Venezuela shoots down an American fighter jet, and then I don't know, we send like 5 battleships to sit there off the coast of Venezuela and dare them to do something about it.
Well, Russia is sending a lot of their C-300 and C-400. It's devices that can shoot missiles and a plane for sure, many planes. And therefore, U.S. may have quite a tough time to penetrate Venezuela's defenses with the Russian help, and not only Russians, Iran already announced the help to Venezuela. China, they're not announcing a lot of things, but they're doing a lot of things, and they have capacity to do a lot of things.
So if Trump is faced with significant resistance from Venezuela, allied with other countries, Trump will back down.
So how will it affect his rating? How?
I don't know. Probably not much, because he calls himself the president of peace, and if he backs down, all he has to say, in the interest of peace, I am backing away. He
has to stay put in Washington and do nothing. That's what will be the best in the interest of peace.
And
okay.
Anyway, it's time to get ready for the Ukraine show. Your people are already on the other side, and I've got the other computer running, so we're ready to get out of here.
All right, goodbye. Thanks.